What it do? I'm on trying to get this technology stuff going, but
That's what
I'm here.
I'm saying.
I'm here, alive and well, and all that good stuff from Atlanta, Georgia. Well, I ain't actually in Atlanta, Georgia. I stay in the suburbs. Dallas, Georgia. It's close to Six Flags out on 20 West if you're going towards Alabama.
Well, you
What's
better
going
suburb
on?
it. Well, you better
You
suburb it.
look excited and refreshed and ready to talk about HBCUs.
You see, I got my swag on. You see, I got my swag on.
Okay,
Always representing
hey,
for the
come on,
Blue Side.
represent Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Educated,
Educated,
dedicated,
dedicated.
mastered. I see you got your. He don't stop. He got his pastor suit on, y'all.
Um,
Are you
share
back?
everything. I was trying to share it to the this ain't no pastor suit. What? Hold up, y'all
Oh,
know I always dress in ties and bow ties and all that good stuff. What's going on?
well, we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna let a few more people join, but I believe in starting on time.
That's the 10 inch rule, right?
That's right. But okay.
Time value.
Mm-hmm. So we gonna do all of that.
You what?
We're gonna do all of that tonight.
Uh,
So just a little bit, y'all, a little bit about Reverend Kenney. He's a frat brother of mine. He's out of he's a pioneer in education. He just got I believe an award for being what, teacher of the year or something like that.
yeah. There's a couple awards. Coach of the year, championship team.
Hmm.
I ain't bragging, but I'm just saying God is
Yeah,
good.
he's an author, an advocate. He does so much, and he's also a pastor and definitely an advocate for HBCUs and youth
Mhm.
development across the nation. So when I was thinking about who can I get to talk about this issue with, some a brother of mine, been a brother for years, and he's also an alumnus of the
Come
Morris Brown
on,
College.
D. Morris Brown, Wolverines for life.
Hmm.
We bleed purple and black for life.
Hmm. So just to give you a backstory of why I started this podcast thing or whatever. It was initially to combat workplace abuse, right?
Hmm.
And the things I experienced and observed at Wiley
Yep.
University.
Yep.
And so some of those, and I want to put a disclaimer out. I'm not attacking anybody. I don't hate anybody, and I'm not calling anybody out, but I am calling you higher, because when you work in the walls of HBCUs,
Hmm.
it's a ministry, because you're developing people,
Yes.
you're helping people, you're ministering to people through empowering them through
Hmm.
education. So some of the things I observe, I'm glad people ask, well, what did you observe or what did you experience? Okay, let me talk about one.
Ooh.
One was being accused of theft,
Okay.
of the when I managed the spirit store, and was accused of creating a fake cash app in the
You
spirit
you
store.
stealing from them folks?
You know me, I don't need to steal
No.
from nobody. You know that.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so I got over the spirit store in May of 22. I was approached in October 22 after homecoming to say, we ain't never got no money from Cash App. We ain't never did this or whatever. I'm saying, well, this was created before I got here. Your Honor, I'd like to present Exhibit A.
Boy, you better bring out them receipts on the
This is
people.
the Cash App that was posted in the store 2 to 3 to 4 years before my arrival, right?
Who
And
was getting that
so,
money? Who was getting that money?
right after I was accused, and then after it was proven that I had nothing to do with it, the only thing I asked for was something in writing saying that I had nothing to do with it. I still haven't gotten it. I asked to meet with the president. I asked to meet with the president. I asked to meet with,
People don't
yeah.
want to when they do stuff, they don't want to take the accountability of the things that they do to you to get that reaction that they get from you. Because there's many things that's been done to me, including the fraternity as well, as in when you have proof and they don't want to take the proof at that point when you got a paper trail, it's a different scenario. So when people don't want to take accountability, they just want to kind of get rid of you. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Or discredit you
Yeah,
in some cases.
discredit you.
Yeah. So
Trying to make everybody else hate
yeah.
that, oh, this person's a bad person, and actually in reality sometimes that person really ain't a bad person. They met some bad people.
Met some bad people. And then, or they wouldn't acquiesce to some of the things, the
Right.
corruption. Here's the thing, you know me, I don't do
Mm-hmm.
clicks. I'm kind of a lone wolf, but I'm a popular loner,
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I asked to be was, like I say, be recused. I asked to meet with the president, everybody. Nobody wanted to meet. And so then,
Sound like
like I say,
deja vu for me.
deja vu. And so the thing about it is, where did the money go? I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
Mm.
Where did it go? So all of a sudden, when it was discovered, when I discovered that the Cash App wasn't working, all of a sudden I started getting refunds, or the Cash App literally just cut off. So
What you mean
somebody,
refunds?
well, not refunds, saying people notifications saying that the monies were returned to the to the sender for the Cash App or whatever. So
Mm.
whoever had been collecting money for years,
Yeah, they start
collecting money
returning
for
that
years
money
from this,
back. They try to
yeah,
clean their
from
tracks.
this from
Look,
this
they
fake
trying
ass
to clean
Cash
their
App.
tracks up
Yeah,
by returning the money back. We know how that game
yeah.
goes.
So it had
I
nothing to do
always
with me.
believe this. If you ride with integrity, I've learned over the years, if you ride with integrity and you are faithful enough and you do stuff the right way, you don't have to worry about backtracking.
You don't. You don't. So that was just one thing, and then I filed a grievance against somebody. All throughout the grievance
Man, I've
process, I
been
was being
filing
threatened.
grievances for a long time against people.
Yeah. So I'm
But
being
you know
threatened
what?
throughout the whole
I come
grievance
to
process.
find out at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to keep it moving because God has something bigger than sometimes we can see. We see the small stuff, but we look at the small stuff and be like, oh, they did this to me, or I could do this. And but sometimes God have a bigger picture. He has a bigger plan than we can even see sometimes. I like, just look at me for example. um I tell people all the time, Morris Brown College was not my first HBCU that I picked. If
Hmm.
you really know me, my first HBCU that I went to and I didn't like, not to say I didn't like it, it was just an environment at the time, was the unsinkable Albany State College in
Hmm.
Albany, Georgia. As you know, the history on Albany State, that was my first HBCU that I attended before I went to Morris Brown College. um I went down there, but at the time, Albany State it wasn't fixed up like it was now. They had all these storms. It had stormed out, flooded buildings,
Yeah,
and
I
all
remember.
that stuff. So I wasn't comfortable without the living arrangement. We was living in trailers, and that was in 1995. We was living in trailers, so I wasn't comfortable with some of that stuff. Made some good friends down there, but I think I was not there, and my mindset wasn't there because first of all, when I got there, they had us in, I don't know if you remember, 099 098 reading and math. It's like development. If you didn't do so well on the SAT, and I didn't like that either. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
you telling
particularly
me
we didn't do such things in particular. But go ahead.
we had this thing. They had this thing at Albany State where it was 099 reading, 099 writing because you didn't do so good on the test. And I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna be in college for about 2 more years than I'm supposed to be.
Oh, so they gave you the opportunity to test out.
Yeah, they gave you opportunity. You take
Go.
the class
Okay.
and then you test again. And so then
Yeah.
you move up to English 101, English
Hmm.
102. But
Hmm.
still, you're supposed to start off on English 101 on 102 when you're a freshman. But I didn't start off on that. So I hated that too. I hated my roommate situation. I'd never been, had a roommate that, he's on the other side, I'm on the other side. It's just we didn't match. We just didn't get along. But I made some good friends that I still stay connected to Albany State,
Hmm.
because people remember me, like, you remember me? He's like, yeah, I remember when you came in 95, and that next year I was out. I was like,
Uh-huh.
then I came back. Came back. I worked for a minute, stayed with family, and then I made a decision to go to. Well, I made two decisions. I applied for Morehouse College, and I applied for Morris Brown College.
Hmm.
And in that waiting, I had got accepted to Morris Brown College, and I loved the environment. Went on the campus, met everybody, and I said, "This is school I want to be at." Well, 2 months later, well, not 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks later. I got the acceptance letters from Morehouse College.
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, I was already in. Morris Brown had warned me. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna do Morris Brown. And then I stayed on campus. Staying on campus was something different from me because they had that real campus life where you have a room, you
Especially
go
back
to the
then.
lunchroom, and then if you know Morris Brown College, we had this thing called the Towers, and the Towers is where everybody just sit and watch everybody and all that stuff, talking all that stuff. So it was one of them things, and we were in the heart of Atlanta downtown. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of crazy. My frat brother, I wasn't part of Phi Beta Sigma at the time, but he had helped me move into my dorm room. In that first year, I was walking down MLK, and we were walking to get some wings. We had a food
You said
place. We
we.
got some wings. I love some good
Oh,
old
okay. Say
food.
something. Oh, we.
And so we were walking down MLK, and somebody said had a gun. They said, "Hey, give me all your money, give me your wallets and everything." So we walking, and I'm like, "Okay." And I told him, I said, "Hey, on the count of three, when I hit three, we gonna burn tracks." So while the person was like, "Give me your wallet, give me your wallet," I ain't even look back and see how the person looked. At the count of three, we booked it down MLK. I said, "If we get hit, we get hit."
Mhm.
The next thing I know, it was just like we flew so fast, we was already down halfway in MLK Drive.
See, I got a similar story, but I was an employee at the time, and so I was working at Alabama State, and I ain't never told nobody. It was a guy on the bike tried to rob me. I'm a pretty big fella. I may not outrun you, but I'm gonna give you a run for your money. So I got cuz out
I
that
didn't even
bike, and
have
I
no
tell you,
money at the time. I'm a first year college student. We're a second year, but at first year at Morris Brown, I ain't have no money.
well, I whoop cuz out that bike. You
I look.
you ain't gonna rob me and think you finna
You
get
would have
away with it.
probably thought I was FloJo running down
But
MLK, and
look at it.
I said, if we get shot, we did our best to run away.
But look at this. Well, first of all, thank you for coming, and we come to talk about a great topic: HBCU then versus now. As you know, HBCUs were originally formed after the aftermath of the Civil
Mhm,
War, to provide education to disenfranchised African Americans who, because of slavery or segregation, couldn't afford or wouldn't give them the right of a proper education. So these HBCUs were founded just for that.
mhm.
And HBCUs are crucial for education. You
They
know,
are.
not only academic education, but for nurturing and Black cultural identity, leadership, and activism.
Mhm,
So you know, we back then we were safe havens for
mhm.
civil rights leaders such as Dr. Martin Luther King, who went to Morehouse.
Right.
Um, our frat brother, the phenomenal Senator John Lewis, who went to Fisk University.
University.
So my thing is HBCU then versus now. Are we creating the same leaders that we did once before as we are now?
Well, a lot has changed in creating leaders that we create now. It's more of, I call it bubblegum. It's like they created leaders that were hardcore. They create leaders that set the standards. They create leaders that wasn't scared to go against the grain. Now we are creating leaders, but some of the leaders that we're creating are scared to go against the grain. They're scared to go. A lot of our leaders couldn't do what Martin Luther King did. They'd be ready to fight. Let's just be real. They could not walk and get beat in the head like John Lewis got beat in the head when he was in Selma, Alabama. These kind of leaders that we're making are people that's soft. I'm sorry. We
Now
just
let
got to be
me
real
tell
with
you this:
that because
if
they
anybody hit
couldn't
me in
go.
the head, I'm fighting.
I mean,
you know,
you know what? That is
salute
that is
to
real.
Malcolm.
That is real. Because I was in church today, and so the pastor said, "Some you got to turn the other cheek." Sometime when if somebody hits you, turn the other cheek. One of the pastors said, he said, "Well, I'm gonna turn that other fist too."
I'm gonna turn the other cheek while I'm turning the other fist. Yeah, you're right. You're not gonna hit me. And I don't believe in, one race being superior to the next because Um, I just believe we all should kind of, as you know, with Black Wall Street and Black Wall Street wasn't just in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
There were several
Yes.
throughout the U.S., including Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Huntsville, several other places.
Hmm.
And every time we try to get together and get our own,
Hmm.
we would get bombed, we would get flooded, we would get such things like that. But
But I think
in the walls
more
of
of to kind of counterpart, and you're talking about the particular places that are located. We, such as me and you, and a group of people, we have to educate our African American people as well. I mean, when I say educate, we must educate them on all aspects of life. As an educator, I see some parents are not in their kids' lives, so they don't get educated on what's a HBCU. If your parent didn't go to a HBCU, how are they going to educate you on a HBCU? And what does HBCUs mean to you? If your parents only got a high school diploma, they can't educate you on what a HBC means to them. It's people like us where in my classroom we have it where my kids last year know me. I'm about HBCUs. I'm about Divine Nine. I'm about Greek life. I'm about our Black culture because it's very important that we teach them. Yeah, there's a PWI schools out there and all that stuff. That's good, but it's very important that we teach them about what is a HBCU. Because when I said, "Do you know what a HBCU?" They didn't even know what the abbreviations stand for because most of the kids that I teach, their parents just got a high school diploma and started working at a plant. I started working somewhere. So we got to be able to educate them. We have been to HBCUs. We graduated from HBCUs. So I have to be the educator to educate my students when it comes to HBCU. And so now they came in this year, Miss Kenney, we doing HBCUs? I said, no, you're going to grab an individual and you're going to present it to the class and talk about African Americans, such as Martin Luther King, such as Rosa Parks, such as Bethune Cookman. These famous people because they're not getting that kind of history when they're getting history, but they don't have those kind of teachers that have been to HBCUs and understand what does it mean. What's the meaning of historical Black colleges and
Mhm.
universities? Not in educating them. And so I'm educating them in third grade.
Mhm. Yeah, you raising baby Wolverines, baby tigers, baby
Right.
bulldogs, or whatever. So going back to the original statement, I see students with
Mm.
so much potential, and as I stated, the Black culture, and I could truly say that holistically, I didn't know what it meant to be Black until I went to Tougaloo College.
Oh,
I knew
that it's
I
crazy.
knew that I was.
I wasn't, I was, at a high school as predominantly white. So
Mhm,
it was one of them things. I didn't know about HBCU. I just know I wanted to get away from my parents. That's how I got to Albany State.
mhm,
And then I went on to, I didn't even know it was an HBCU. I just like, I'm ready to get away from my grandma. My grandma got too many rules. She do this. And I chose Albany State and got in.
mhm,
And after I got to Morris Brown College, I realized what HBC means to me. What's
mhm,
this whole college, homecoming and all that stuff means because I think is when you don't know. But when you do know, you're able to educate everybody around you. When you do know, because a lot of people, look at PWIs and say, I don't know the meaning of HBCU. They might have got a glance at it, but some people, you go on a job these days, they don't know what HBCU if they've never been before.
Well, see, not only do we have to educate, but we have to be the example, and
Right.
that's a part of the education process. So
Mhm.
when I went to Tougaloo, I started seeing the culture, spoken word. I started seeing us seeing classical and opera music. I started seeing art paintings, sculptures, different artwork. I started seeing people being profound and being public speaking. I met Whoopi Goldberg. I met Senator John Lewis. I knew anything about the Divine
Yeah.
Nine, but I met so many different people.
And
I
it's
seen people
crazy how we
stepping
don't know
and
about the
stuff like
Divine
that.
Nine
Yeah.
until we
And
get to the
so
colleges.
hold
Because
on,
my
hold
first,
on, hold
okay,
on, hold on.
okay, okay, okay,
You know,
okay.
when you get passionate about stuff, you start talking. I
Right.
never knew nothing about it. So when I was like, wow, I just sit back and just take it all in. Like, and so I developed a new pride about being black because the examples, which, as you stated, were shown to me. I was being
Mhm.
educated in that regard. And I took my first African American history class. Shout out
Right.
to Dr. Woods. And so when he taught me and he showed, and I see my peers, we all just excited about what was going on. I developed a new pride for being black, and that's something I'll never forget.
That's deep. It's crazy when you go to these colleges because I didn't get that grasp when I went to Albany because I was so. Let me tell you something. I love the club, so I would come home every Thursday at the class and go back. It was this club called the Gate off of Counter Road, and I would come back and be ready to go to the clubs. So I wasn't in tune into Albany State that much. I had my little job at Checkers out Slappy. If you from Albany, Checkers still there on Slappy Drive. But I wasn't in tune until I got to Morris Brown College.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's
And so big
good.
and so when I got to Morris Brown College, it was a different environment because I think what was my first Greek adventure? My first Greek probate was I saw the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta. Now, I saw them come out and I was just like, oh, this is Greek life. Then I saw, and I'll tell you about that one because I was ready to go home. Not to say it wasn't a good show. It was raining outside, and you had these girls coming out here talking about DST, DST. I said, no, it's raining out
And
here. I'm ready to
did you
go.
really understand what was taking place? Being that was
And then I
your
didn't
introduction.
really understand. I started to look at it, and then another probate show. I think the Kappas came out, the Alphas came out, and it's like, oh, this is Greek life. I'm just like,
This is
oh
what it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah. And I
Mm-hmm.
start to understand. They place their blood, sweat, and tears. That's why them girls was out there in the rain. Because I think it was about 23 of them or 22 that was out in the rain and all that stuff. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, wow, they really. And then I saw Delta Sigma Theta doing stuff on campus. I saw Alpha Phi Alpha doing stuff on campus. I saw Phi Beta Sigma doing stuff on campus. I saw all these Greeks on campus doing stuff, and I'm like, wow. And then it compels you to kind of look at all these organizations and look at to see what the Vine Nine was doing on campus. And then I had a mentor that was an alpha. It was kind of crazy. Dr. Walton was my mentor, and we still stay in contact to this day. He is up at a college up north, but we still stay in contact to the day, and he's always checking on me. It's like, hey, I'm so proud of what you're doing, your wife, your kid, your career and education. And I will always look back and say, man, God made all this possible because from where I came from, I never seen that many people go to college, you know, or if they did go to college, they dropped out of college. And I
Are
think
you a
that
first
was in my
generation college student?
mindset. Huh?
Are you a first generation college student?
I am.
Me too.
I mean, I had people that go to college, but they didn't make it. Like
Right.
they dropped out or they just didn't make it. You know, and so for me, I was determined to go to school and graduate. And I was like, even though it was hard, it's
Mhm.
crazy. We talk about our HBCUs, how they look from then to now. The hardest thing I had to do in my life was take 27 credit hours to in get to graduate. Let's say the second thing, pledging my fraternity that I pledged Phi Beta Sigma. Everybody knows I pledged Phi Beta Sigma at Morris Brown College. That and finishing out these credits to graduate with a Morris Brown degree probably was one of the hardest things I have ever had to do.
Now let's talk about that. And salute to Dr. Kevin James, who I follow on LinkedIn, and Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, give a
I
salute
watched his.
out to Dr. Kevin James. Dr. Kevin James
Yeah,
has been a phenomenal, I call it, how would I
pioneer.
say it? He actually got the school off of life support with the help
So
of.
so let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because I never met him in person, right?
Uh
But I could feel his passion and
cool, cool.
his
He's
work
a
ethic
cool dude.
He is. I mean, work ethic through social media, LinkedIn, whatever. I've even reached out to him, and he was a college president responding to, somebody. It's kind of unheard of, But he's such a great brother. I'm championing him, from afar. We never met, but talk about the time when you first learned that Morris Brown was in jeopardy of its accreditation being taken. You taking the hours you needed to graduate so you can have a Morris Brown degree, and then let's transition to the amazing efforts of this great man and what
So
he's
I
done
think
for
we
Morris Brown.
found out when it was 2002. Um, 2002, spring 2003, I played Zeta Chapter Phi Beta Sigma. I came off the line, and I think we found out about it. Then it was kind of like here, whispers, 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 whispers. Then it was December 2002. I think everything kind of hit the fan, and then they told us coming back that we had to take these credit hours, and a lot of people opted out to do the credit hours. I took 27 credit hours to graduate from Morris Brown College, which was a lot of classes, and we was on a short time span. It wasn't like we went from 2003 January to like February or March to graduate with a Morris Brown degree. It wasn't like we waited into June. At that time it was real stressful for me, because it's like I got to do all this work and graduate. A lot of people opted. They said, man, I can't do that, I'm gonna go. A lot of people went on to different colleges. I
Mm-hmm.
just I felt like I pay my dues for this. I work hard for it, and I just like I've been to another college. I'm trying to finish my degree at Morris Brown College
Mm-hmm.
because I want to be a Wolverine for life. I wanted my degree to say Morris Brown College and all that good stuff, and so I work my butt off. Staying late at night studying, doing papers and all that stuff just to get my degree with my 27 hours for Morris Brown College. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was stressing. It was a lot of just staying up late at night. It was just a lot of, am I gonna do this? Can I make this happen? Can I make these grades I need to graduate? You know, am I willing to make those grades to graduate so I can get my degree from Morris Brown College? And I'm glad that I did go through the perseverance of working hard to get my degree, because my degree don't say anything else but Morris Brown College for my BA degree.
Right. So, witnessing Dr. James's efforts in bringing it, Morris Brown becoming accredited once again, how does that make you feel?
I
With him being the pioneer of
as
that movement.
somebody like Dr. Kevin James, he let's be real, he was crucified. A lot of people didn't like him. Um, but I looked at Kevin James and said, "Hey, this guy is doing a lot of stuff," because I saw him making stuff happen for the college. People will say, "No, it was other presidents before him." He was the president that got us out the 20 years being extinct. Because Chico, it's saddens it saddened me at the time when we lost accreditation, and you got to go against, you see other schools like Morehouse, you see Spelman, you see Clark Atlanta, and people are like, oh, y'all gone, Morris Brown gone, y'all done. I wouldn't even want to read that on my chest no more. But let me tell you something, all about Wolverines at Morris Brown College, we would still have homecoming without accreditation, and
All right.
we were still, alumni was doing strategy plans. How do we get this money? How do we do this for the school and all that stuff? That still was going on. And so it's crazy. I'm in the ministry at a church, and this girl blatantly says on the mic, "Oh, oh, you don't want to represent Morris Brown College? They accreditation dome. They ain't even got no school. They closed down." It hurt me, but I actually, I got over it, because I felt like, but you ain't even in no college. You never graduate with no degree. So just because of what you see, but then when it came to fruition that 20 years later, somebody like Dr. Kevin James can revitalize our whole campus. You know, along with the Brown Knights and along with his staff and all that stuff, that's the first time in history that that has ever been done from any historical black college in history, that a college could be brought back in 20 years. No one has did that in this lifetime with an HBC. 20 years come back, once your college is gone for that amount, people start saying it ain't coming back. But
Mm-hmm.
because we had the faith of a mustard seed, that God brought Morris Brown College off life support, and we owe Dr. Kevin James a lot, because he came into a college that was dead.
Yeah.
Most people would come into a college and be like, I can't do it. I need to get paid. If
He
I ain't
came
getting
with a
no
vision. He
paycheck,
came with a vision.
you
Yeah.
know, he came with a vid. If I ain't get no paycheck, you know, most of us be like, I'm out. I need to go to a college where they're gonna pay me. I need to go to a college. I'm not gonna come in here. This college is already dead. But he came in with a mission. He had a plan with his people, and they got us back up and moving. So
Mm-hmm.
kudos to Dr. Kevin James. I don't care what they have said about him or what they didn't like about him, but he has broke history, being the only president that has revitalized a school after 20 years being gone.
Yeah. So yeah, salute to him. He's a mentor in my head. I hadn't met him yet, and I hope to meet him. I hope to meet him one day and possibly interview him. Throughout the show, because let me cook. This podcast is designed to salute people. Give them their flowers while they yet live, so they can smell them. And if you're doing good, you out there, you doing your thing or whatever. I wanna highlight you. I'm gonna celebrate you. So
But
I'm
I
gonna let
thank
him
you
cook.
for inviting me. I don't do everybody podcasts. People invite me and my wife to do podcasts, but we don't. My thing is I have to be led by the Spirit in order what I'm talking on, because people take everything and be like, he on this show, he on this show, da 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 da. Da. But I'm glad that I'm able to actually talk about my school, because for those that was going through at the time when the accreditation was lost, they got some stories.
Yeah,
It went downhill for them, but I can say it went uphill for me, because I eventually, after I graduated from Morris Brown College, I started working. I went on to get my master's from Strayer University. And right now I'm about to finish up my MAT program, another master's. So was good
yeah.
during that time. Excuse me,
So
as
salute to
I
you.
went through that transition from Morris Brown College. I was able to find a job. I was doing payroll and accounting and stuff. So because I was a business major. So I was able to
Mhm.
find a job after Morris Brown College. It wasn't all downhill and I couldn't find no job and all that stuff.
Right? Can we touch on something
Yes, sir.
now? It's obvious that when our HBCUs are under such scrutiny,
Hmm.
right? I'm not sure why Morris Brown lost its accreditation. I did read a little bit on, but
It's
hold
kind of
on.
like.
I'm gonna let you touch on it. But it's it's obvious that when HBCUs are under such scrutiny, the scandal or whatever you want to call it, that the media takes it and run with it.
Oh,
And the PWIs, although they're going through some of the same things, they're not highlighted as we are. So, can you touch on briefly, as why did Morris Brown, from your vantage point, why did they lose their accreditation?
it was a mishandling of funds of at our school. It's some of the stuff that goes on at every HBCU, and we have to be mindful, and leaders, when you are in those positions, mishandling funds shouldn't even go on. You should be there for the core of the school to make sure that the school is ran. So mishandling funds, just like at some other HBCUs, mishandling funds, like presidents have to resign. You know, um, it's a lot of that. And I say we, as me growing after this whole incident, I'm able to be 48 years old and say having
That's it.
integrity is very
Yeah.
important. Having wisdom is very important. Making sure you have the right leadership around you to make sure that keeps you accountable. Because it's people, a lot of stuff that happened with Morris Brown, I don't think they were keeping the president accountable for the actions that were going on.
I'm gonna correct you in one thing. You said 48. I thought you were 50.
No,
No,
I'm not 50. Don't play me like that. When I do turn 50, I'm gonna have the biggest celebration ever.
praise God, 'cause that's a testimony. But scandals with HBCUs. I can recall Jack State University's president
Mm-hmm.
Bynum allegedly with mishandling funds. Um, Hampton University president William Harvey
Mm-hmm.
financial funds.
Mm-hmm.
Morehouse College president John Wilson financial mismanagement, and countless others allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
So we say that all for legal purposes, allegedly, because this is what it is. But
Well, for
I,
me, it wasn't allegedly, it was proven. For Morris Brown College, it wasn't allegedly, it was very proven, found guilty.
yeah. So there are a lot. Like I say, our scandals are
Mhm.
heightened, right? But
I think our scandals are heightened because we have hard, because of being in the African American culture. A lot of us, if we see it from Martin Luther King to Rosa Parks, we had to fight for rights in society. And so now when stuff goes down at these schools, they're always saying HBC, they're mishandling funds and all. And so they want to hype it up when I swear they're probably mismanagement of foods at the PWI schools. We just don't know it because they're keeping it low
look,
key.
they keep it together. But and the thing about it
And
is,
then again, we got to keep it low key. We can't be running our mouth when stuff go on and say, "Oh, that's how the ship sinks," because there's other people running their mouth. Because if you keep it quiet, we're gonna keep this quiet. We ain't gonna run it to the papers, and let's handle it inside first. If we
well, you
can't
handle
handle
it
it
inside, of
inside,
course.
then
Yeah.
let's go outside.
hmm So with our scandals and things like that being, heightened across the
Hmm.
board, um, I can't help but think of, what now President Trump, is doing with DEI. So it's
Mm.
obvious that our HBCUs have been under attack for decades, for
Hmm.
centuries, or whatever. And we have some HBCUs have celebrated their sesquicentennial, have turned over 150 years
Hmm.
old. So they've been under attack for all this time, right?
Hmm.
So with DEI, and even back in the day when desegregation happened,
Hmm.
these our HBCUs faced a challenge when it came to enrollment because a lot of people jumped ship and went to PWIs instead of staying at the
Hmm.
HBCUs, staying at HBCUs. And it had a tremendous effect on our enrollment in HBCUs. So now, with the perception of scandals, which are heightened,
Mm.
with the uh, with the attacks that we're currently under with DEI and even them offering some sports. That's why I love Deion Sanders, what he did for, you know, our star athletes come back home. You can have the same opportunities here at
Right.
HBCUs than you can at PWIs.
Mm.
So um, we continue, even though our enrollment is down, we're being attacked. That's ultimately they want to see them. They want that financial gain from having the minority student at their institution.
Mm.
And I'm thinking about Tennessee State University with Dr. Glover up there, where they're attacking
Mm.
her. And so, um, with that being said, if we don't get a handle on the scandals, hiring the right people, eliminating black elitism, eliminating nepotism in the HBCU place, hiring the right people for these jobs, right?
Mhm.
Instead of your homeboy, your homegirl, your cousin who you smashing or whatever, and getting the most highly qualified person in the seat to do the job, then we're going to face these possibilities because you're getting people that don't represent the true origin of why HBCUs truly founded.
Mhm.
And then there's no way. I'm gonna take this for example. There's no that leaves room for possibility for a uh, Texas Texas uh, University Marshall campus if why the college doesn't get its stuff together.
Mm.
For University of Alabama Montgomery campus if Alabama State doesn't get its stuff together,
Mhm.
and so much more. So
Mhm.
we have to be solid in our foundation,
Mhm.
and then recruit, hire the right people and recruit the right type of student
Mhm.
for our the longevity of our HBCUs. And like you said, you start in the third grade. You're raising baby Wolverines in the
Right.
third grade and
Because
baby
it's
Bulldogs in the
not just
third grade.
about me talking about my Morris Brown where they know I bleed it because it's all over my in the back of my background at my desk. But to talk about HBCUs and I wish I can bring the book. They had a project last year for second grade. I got my same student for second grade, and their project was to write about an HBCU and draw about the HBCU because no one is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you know about HBCUs, then you can talk about them. But if you go to a public school, they ain't trying to talk about no HBCUs. They like, let's go with the curriculum. I mean, I'm at a private charter school, but it gives you a way where you can talk about HBCUs. And the project was, boom, you're doing a presentation. And after the presentation, your project will be put in your, not your project, but you're going to write about your writing will be put in a book of the
Mm-hmm.
HBCU that you picked out of the bucket. So we went over from Howard University to Tuskegee to Savannah State, you know, to Alabama State, to Tougaloo, it's very important that we understand you can teach it at an early age. You can teach kids about HBCUs at an early age because these days they only start hearing about HBCUs when they get to high school, 11th grade. Now check
Yeah,
that.
let's is a band or something like this.
Right.
They got a band because the private HBCU versus the public HBCU, the one with the band and
Hmm.
the football team, we face a different battle.
Right.
That's why I think Tougaloo and I'm using Tougaloo for example. We don't have a band football team, but we're one of the top HBCUs in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, HBCUs are dominant when it comes to producing doctors, educators, lawyers, and things like that. So I take pride in me and my fellow alumni what we've been able to do in those fields and represent our true HBCU. That's one thing about it. Like HBCU, you know, I like my academic experience, but I love my social experience.
Right.
We are indeed a family. We are a family. I wouldn't have survived college if it wasn't for that family
Yeah. Right.
environment that we had. Did we have our little squabbles? Probably so. But are we still when we do we communicate every day? No. But when we link together,
Right.
it's like we
We never
never
left
left.
off. It's
Never left.
kind of like when you go back for homecoming at the HBCU, you like excited. Like everybody's coming back for homecoming. It's like if you had beef in college, ain't no beef now.
Ain't
We
no
just happy to see
beef
you.
enough. And then you sit back like, which I know you were this cool in college. You know
Exactly. I
what?
might would have messed with you then.
Right. What day was y'all chicken day on?
Look, we had Busy Bees, man. We would go down to Busy Bees on MLK and get some chicken, and we had JJ's right by the school.
So
You
the
just walk across there.
cafeteria didn't serve chicken.
Oh, they did have chicken. That was on. I think that was on Tuesday. I can't remember.
Now, Wiley University has chicken Tuesdays. We had chicken and steak on Wednesday at Tougaloo. So instead of the freshman
Boy,
15,
look,
I gained the I
if the
gained the
food didn't fill you up at Morris Brown the first round, you go right
you
back in and get another second
go
plate.
right back.
I'm taking this to
I'm
my
telling
room.
you, them good sisters was cooking. I'm telling you, Miss Green, that lemon, she loved lemon flavor. Miss Green, God rest her soul. So in terms of the community and things like that, of course, we got to take pride and stuff in HBCUs. But what part does HBCUs need to play in terms of the community? One thing I know, President Quentin Ross at Alabama State, shout out to him. Um, he coined a phrase called communiversity, and
Mm.
so with him, he wanted to include the community in everything that he was doing. So it was kind of became like one, like the community and the institution was synergized, and so he was good at that. So what role do HBCUs play in community upliftment and empowerment?
I think it plays a vital role to the enrollment of the college because if you are HBCU, you should be in every one of these schools that's in your whole surrounding area. You should be at every one of these fairs, community engagement. You should be having partnerships outside the school to build that community and connection. You should be able to go to an elementary school, get some stuff. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go to this elementary school, or we're gonna go to this high school, and we got school supplies, book bags. Building that partnership, they're seeing. Morris Brown College or Spelman or Clark Atlanta on their shirts and saying, "What is that? What kids are saying, what is that? What do they do? What school is that?" So they start to remember. You build that, and they start to see it. And then they remember it when they're 11th grade and they ready to go to school. And in fact, our school did a job fair last Saturday at Stonecrest. It had the our top HBCUs such as Howard University. They had Spelman, Morris Brown College, Alabama State, A&T. They had the top of the line where kids were in 11th grade coming to your table. They want to find out about the school. That's the
Mm-hmm.
way you're getting into. And it was at the mall, Stonecrest Mall in Stonecrest, Georgia. And to me, even though I got there a little late, I got to mingle with the presidents of the alumni chapters. I with a vice president, got to meet the president of the alumni chapter of Atlanta of Howard University. I mean, you start to come together and start to talk and start to say, hey, what can we do bigger as a collective item?
Mm-hmm. It's something about, when they see us convening, especially in a positive setting, they get, some people get nervous about
Oh yeah.
because I think the power that they know the power that we possess when we
Mm,
come together,
right.
you know, as a people, Tulsa, Oklahoma, any business thing, I can recall having a conversation with a brother in Alabama about establishing a black chamber of commerce.
Mm,
Now, I think there was opposition against it initially. They was like, well, why we got to have a black one? We already have one. Why? And my response was, why is it so dangerous for black people to assemble and take care of their own? And when we're not opposing anybody else, keep doing what you're doing. We're going to support that too. But as
mhm,
far as us, we're going to have our own little incubator and where we can nurture and grow each other and develop each other.
right.
But there's always something, even within our own mindset,
Right.
of self-hatred and
Okay.
self-loathing that we don't support our own collectively. So
Right.
yeah. So um, HBCU then versus now. One thing about it is homecoming with me.
It's a
Now
family
it
reunion.
it is, but I want to talk about the musical guests, the artists.
Oh, we had Outkast. We had some good artists to come. Outkast. We had a lot of good artists. I think when I was there, we had Outkast.
Okay, so now we got Megan Thee Stallion, we got Glorilla and whoever else, and some more the baby and all them who promoting hypersexualization
Uh-huh.
of drugs and some other stuff, killing, and I'm gonna bust down this and do that or whatever. Uh, you know, and I say that they we didn't have that back in the day,
Mhm.
but I think back in the day we had balance.
Right. Yeah. We
You
had
know,
balance.
we may have had a Uncle Luke, but then we had a Jill Scott.
Hmm. Hmm.
We may have had a uh, some Snoop Dogg, whatever. Then we had MC Hammer.
Hmm.
You know, it's just a balance. But now I think with music industry these days, it's just so volatile, in my opinion.
I think to me, the executives of record companies, they just look sex sales. And so we put people on platforms and sex is selling. And it's just like, wow, it's selling and people are buying it. Um, and I can say an incident that happened with Morris Brown that they didn't want the cover. They didn't want to have an artist for probably I think 2 years ago. Um, Sexy Red. She's hot out there. She's making her money. She's doing it. But our president refused to have her on. He
I
didn't
agree.
want that kind of image over a college that's regaining their image back.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
I
so,
agree.
you know, even though that's what they want Sexy Red. But he didn't want a Sexy Red because of the regain. That's not the image of Morris Brown College.
And so that's my point. We during the homecoming, we promote that image that we're trying to
Hmm.
combat, or we trying to build virtuous women, noble men,
Hmm.
warriors and activists in the community. But we every homecoming we bring back the opposite of the example that we're trying to put out there.
Hmm.
So salute to President James
Mm-hmm.
for doing that. Yeah, salute to him. Well, brother, you got any final thoughts?
Thoughts. I just want people to kind of just start to pay attention in life. Start to pay attention. Stop listening to everything that comes out in the papers. Some of the stuff that's coming out, you got to understand if you know government, just because it's a executive order, that means it has to go through to be voted on. You know, because a lot of people are just in jeopardy. Did you know this happened? This is happened. If you study social studies, you understand what I mean. Everything can't just be just because you're the president, it has to be voted on first. That's just like any organization. If something goes through, it has to be voted on first. It just can't be saying this is happening, this is happening, this is happening.
Yeah, they should know that. With all the things that President Obama tried to do, and they blocked it and knocked it down. So yeah, who I want to see run for president?
Oh,
Michelle Obama.
no, she ain't gonna do it.
I
The
think she
world
would
is
be
not ready for a
amazing.
woman's
Let
president.
me
Just be,
tell you
that's
something.
my
Let me
opinion.
tell you something. Let me tell you something. She, as far as first ladies go, nobody can compare.
Yeah, no, nobody can compare. You're right.
Nobody can compare. Nobody. So I think she would be amazing. You know, I think if there was somebody that should have taken uh former President Biden's place, it could have been her. Hands down. But I digress.
Yeah.
Well, brother Kenny, we want to thank you for joining us today. We let you cook, and boy, you came cooking.
I can't cook it, but I like to leave this. Can I pray before we go out? Because it might be some people listening that might not know Jesus, even though we're talking about HBCUs. I don't want to impart, and I know it's your show, but I got to bring God wherever I go. So before we close out, can I pray with the people, whoever is gonna watch this?
we're gonna let them use you. Go ahead.
All right. Lord, we thank you for this time on the show. Let them cook. God, every word that was said, I hope a person that's listening or coming forth getting it, that they really listen to it. And I do want to say to the people that are for listening, um, ready, get set, and go for 2025. Cover these people in the name of Jesus. Cover our homeless. Cover Chico as he hosts his show and impact people's lives with what he's talking about. Cover every person that is coming over this show, God. I ask this in your holy name, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. Thanks again, my brother, and salute to you, and praying for you and the family, and
All
much
right.
prosperity and love and blessings.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right, we'll
All
talk
right.
to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.